rail links, energy pipelines, fiber optic cables. This corridor will bypass maritime checkpoints, or choke points rather, and dramatically lower the cost of goods, communication, and energy for over 2 billion people.
Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Felicia Lockhart, and you have come into the Lockhart Radio podcast. Today, we are looking at Trump brokered a peace declaration with Armenia and Azerbaijan. And as you can tell by the thumbnail, I have a question. For the past few years, I've reflected back on this right here. But what I want to show you tonight is something a little unique, because this video has not necessarily disturbed me, but it has been in the forefront every time I see something take place. Every time I see something take precedence over what's going on overseas, every time I see a skirmish here in the United States that turns our attention away from what we should be watching, I think of this. Today's alleged declaration of peace that's been brokered by our president with Armenia and Azerbaijan did the exact same thing. It brought back this video. I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to show you why I believe I keep coming back here. This is the Lockhart Radio Podcast.
Lockhart Perspective.
What a historic change for my country. You see, the land of Israel is situated in the crossroads between Africa, Asia, and Europe. And for centuries, my country was repeatedly invaded by empires passing through it in their campaigns of plunder and conquest elsewhere. But today, as we tear down the walls of enmity, Israel can become a bridge of peace and prosperity between these continents. Peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia will truly create a new Middle East.
Do you want to comment on that, Ronnie, before we continue? Ronnie, do you want to comment on that before we continue? So my brother was with me on the day that I played this, but let me read to you what I think. But first, let's get into exactly what happened. So the United States president, our president, Donald Trump, hosted the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan at the White House for what he called a historic peace summit. During the Friday event, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev and Trump signed a joint declaration focusing on opening a key transport route in the region. It's the so-called Zangezur corridor. The route connects Azerbaijan to its exclave through a narrow strip of land that's located in southern Armenia, which runs along the country's border with Iran. The route is set to be developed and operated by American companies and will be known as the Trump Route for international peace and prosperity. The president said that having the route named after him was a great honor, and he also made mention that he didn't ask for this. Both the Armenian and the Azerbaijani leaders showered the United States president with praise over the declaration. Pashinyan said the deal was a great success, quote, for our countries and for our region, and success for the world, which cemented Trump's legacy as a, quote, statesman and a peacemaker. Aliyev said that Trump was bringing peace to the whole Caucasus region, noting, quote, and we are grateful for that. Armenia and neighboring Azerbaijan are both former Soviet republics that have been locked in a territorial dispute over the region of Nagorno and Karabakh since the late 1980s. The predominantly ethnic Armenian populated region broke away from Baku in the early 1990s following a full-blown war. The territory had been the source of constant tension between Armenia and Azerbaijan for more than 2 decades, seeing multiple flare ups and large scale conflicts before Baku managed to regain control of the region by force in 2023. Now, when we think of that, I would like for you to imagine something, and I'm going to share something with you here on the screen because I don't think it's by accident that this is something that I thought about. Again, I've been having this on my mind for quite some time. And because it's been on my mind for quite some time, I feel like I have to share it with you. So I'm going to put this on the screen right now. Now, when I saw this earlier today, it took everything else that I had planned to do and put it on a total different burner, the back burner. Because when I reflect on the video that I just shared with you guys that has been gnawing at me since 2023, it made it all so clear. Because my original question when I first saw this whole Azerbaijan thing was, why? What is this about? Well, now I can tell you that with my knower, my gut, I'm going to tell you what it's really about. If you just keep your eyes, excuse me, right there on that I've created, I want you to picture that you're looking at a satellite map of one of the biggest power struggles is basically what you're doing in global trade today. In that light orange area, you see the United States and the Israeli influence zones, regions where Washington and Tel Aviv hold a political and military as well as economic leverage to shape what moves, where it moves, and who profits from the movement, right? But I want you to notice that the shading stretches from Israel's ports to Haifa and Eliot, as you would say. And that goes across the Eastern Mediterranean and up into the Caucasus through the Trip Corridor, a U.S. brokered route linking Azerbaijan through Armenia's Syunayak province. This is exactly the kind of territory that Netanyahu can operate in with the United States backing. Plugging this land route straight into Israel's own port network. Now, mind you, you heard what I just played, the part that I've told you that for whatever the reason just keeps gnawing at me. I will not forget the plan. The main reason why I won't forget the plan was because that predated the absolute most unbelievable, I will say, quote unquote, invasion of Israel ever, right? Since this particular place, as I constantly remind you, is one of those places that you're not just going to pop up and end up, crashing a birthday party. They knew that you were coming. They knew that you were walking across or underneath or crawling underneath or flying overhead. They knew. They know. So when the whole story came out that these individuals decided to basically storm their airspace and land with these sort of, I call them sort of archaic compared to the technology that Israel has, but archaic little items and jump over and, land down in their airspace. I knew that there was more going on. And the reason why I knew there was more going on is because I could not forget that video showing not just that year, but years prior, exactly what the goal was. So again, this is the exact kind of territory that Netanyahu can operate with, especially with the United States backing, plugging this land route straight into Israel's own port network. Like I said, the orange lines that you see here are going to be China's Belt and Road Initiative, solid overland, dashed for maritime, running from China's industrial heartland through Pakistan's Gwadar port, across the Indian Ocean, hitting the Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and up through the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal. The red highlights the mark. It actually marks the trip corridor, the missing piece that could reroute cargo away from Chinese managed lanes right into Israeli controlled gateways. And then there's these little black X's that you see here on the screen. Those are, as he just got through talking about, the choke points. These are the toll booths of the world. The Bab el Mandeb Strait at the mouth of the Red Sea, the Strait of Hormuz at the Gulf's entrance, and the Strait of Malacca in the Southeast Asian area, and the Gwadar hub in Pakistan. Now, I want you to focus on something, because whoever controls these points controls the flow. And here's where the pattern comes back in. This is where the pattern comes back in, because in April of 2025, if you remember, just this year, Donald Trump and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is who he sent to have a really firm conversation. And he immediately pushed for U.S. ships, commercial and military, to pass through where? The Panama Canal and the Suez Canal, free of charge, claiming that those canals would not exist if it wasn't for us. If it wasn't for the United States, those canals would not exist. And it was a clear sign of his strategy. Don't seize the canal, but set the rules, tilt the advantage, and make others play on America's terms. Well, in this case, when you see America, then you know who it is. Because lately, we've been the do boy. Send your do boy, tell him what to do, tell him what to say. So what we're seeing here is the exact same playbook. The United States and Israel securing a pathway that they can influence, sidestepping China altogether, sidestepping China's maritime dominance altogether, and planting a flag on one of the most strategic east-west corridors of our time. And when I tell you these cats are cold with it, they are cold with it. I mean, if Return of the Mac was a person, it would be these two dudes. It would really be these two dudes. So I'm going to put it all together for you. These are the regions, again, where Washington and Tel Aviv have a significant political, military, or some economic leverage. And it does stretch from Israel's ports through Georgia and Armenia's trip corridor, exactly what Netanyahu can influence. Because, see, he's not going to tamper with China, because he's not going to get in business with them. He needs to be the main cat, right? And this right here is sitting right on the cusp that would really begin to bug somebody, namely Putin, because he don't need Putin. As long as he's got the United States, all right, he's good. So anytime Netanyahu can use our president, or anybody else for that matter, to go in and be his, his voice, he'll do it. Okay? So it's the idea, if Israel ties these routes into the Red Sea and the Mediterranean port network, then it can control a key chunk of the east-west trade. That's my point. So you don't forget that right there in that orange and all of that, that's the Belt and Road Initiatives. The Belt and Road Initiative routes. China's Belt and Road Initiatives is drawn there in the orange color, showing that it's maritime and overland pathways. So those maritime paths run from China across the Indian Ocean, hitting parts of that Pakistani area, the Gwadar and the Jeddah, and over there also in Saudi Arabia through the Suez. All of that. None of this stuff is, we want you to have peace. None of this stuff is, we need you to have peace. That's not what this is about. Look at that. If you really stop and just look at it. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you think, but I do know that it's not good. It's not good. What it is it's showing us that, first of all, does everybody get what I'm saying? not to insult anyone, but if there's anybody that doesn't really get the levity or the depth of what I'm saying, let me know, because everything else that's come out today, honestly, is really just a diversion from what's really going on. Every day since this incident happened and they have begun the mass slaughtering of Palestinians there in that region, it has been one concerted effort after another to add onto the last event to get one step closer to this situation that he was so eager and excited to explain. Both eager and excited to explain to everyone in that audience that day exactly what his goals were. He showed you in the very beginning how he felt there was a blockage, but that if he cleared that blockage, he would be able to go from there all the way to the West. There is no other way for you to get through the West unless you do this that I've mapped out. Now, this is not happening. This is what I believe is what the real deal is. What you see on the screen, no one said that this is going to happen. And I want you to be very clear. I want to make myself very clear. Nobody said this is what's happening. What we do know is that Armenia and Azerbaijan, by way of President Trump, have made peace. But my question is, what would that mean in the scheme of things with Israel's goal to have that port go all the way through? What would it mean? And this, my friends, is what it means. This is what it means. Do not forget that right in that area is what? Panama Canal, Suez Canal. He declared that American commercial and military ships should be allowed to pass through for free. Why will we even consider going back or doubling back, even dealing with Panama, the Panama Canal, or the Suez Canal? Why would we even consider that? Why would that even be on the tip of our tongue? And yet, it is a needful thing for them to be the dominance. Let's go back to Rome. Come on, walk with me. You got to understand what Rome was. And you have to understand the power of a port city, of a port nation, of a port region. If you own the ports, you got everything. No, no, no. Let's not forget that New York is being cleared out of anything that looks like America. Even if you look at Corinth, Corinth was a mighty power because Corinth was a port city. Do you see the power in those ports? So no, they're not going to partner with China. They're going to go around China. And they're going to rub right up against the nose of Putin to do it. They're not going to help. They're not going to add him to the party. No, sir, no, ma'am. They're not going to add China because, well, each one of them cats been around forever. And, especially with China, they're not going to share anything with anybody, and neither is Netanyahu. But if he can use America to push and bogart his way in, that's exactly what he's going to do. Every single piece of what has happened just recently as it relates to quote unquote peace, quote unquote, making a way for peace. If you look at it and do the math, you will see exactly what I've got on the screen and then some. Because I guarantee you that when this download came to me today, it wasn't just this that is about to pop off. I believe it's far more than just this. Yeah. The Panama Canal, of all things, were literally in the headlines just recently. And then he also dropped the Suez Canal. So what I'm showing you here is how all of that could tie together. That whole trip corridor and all that area, how all of that, after the U.S. sat there and brokered that whole entire route, It is definitely going to go through Azerbaijan and Armenia's Sukhnyak province. It's exactly the kind of place that Netanyahu needs. So there are no more choke points that he mentioned in the the video that I showed you earlier. There's not going to be any more choke points. These that you see on the screen with the black X's, those are those choke points. Watch them go away. He's not going to mess with any other areas. He's not going to mess with any other. There's a choke point. You probably can't see my cursor, but there's a choke point. There's a choke point down there by the Strait of Hormuz. You see those? He's not going to mess with nobody else. He's only going to mess with the countries he knows that America can really nuzzle up against and push forward an agenda that would be one that's conducive to making this happen. Once he said what he said in 2023, shortly after that, because that was September of 2023 that I showed you, shortly after that, excuse me, is when we find out that people are hopping over and coming down with those little hang glider things, going into a very difficult area to get into. And I constantly reflect back on that because I think it's so important to understand that that's not an easy area to go and be able to, you know, hobble into or fly down on. It's not an easy area. It just isn't. It never has been, especially when you consider we send our individuals that are in secret, you know, like the Secret Service type of cats or CIA or whatever. And please don't quote me on the exact individuals that we send, but we do send a battery of people every time they're doing their training. So we take our training from them. Let me just say that. We're getting the Golden Dome. We've already paid for their dome, and we are really them. If we begin to understand that they are us, this country, that they are this country, that's the reason why they can actually move the way that they move. And I don't really know what this means, but for whatever the reason, I have been getting the most weird feeling about the whole, I don't even know if I should say it, but I'm going to, about the entire piece with Trump and Muskie. Prior to them hooking up and after, prior to the election going through and after, I had the weirdest feeling, especially prior to, because if you remember, before they went into office, all we kept seeing were all of these tweets and all of these ominous pictures of Elon sitting right next to Trump, even sitting next to what things that looked like they were cardboard cutouts of him. If you remember that, they looked like really unique cardboard cutouts. And then you would just remember him standing there with his son and his son running foul, just running amok. You're not the president, saying things like that. And then another time you would see Trump literally as if he were babysitting, sort of schlubbingly walking out of the White House, coming out that side door with Damien, little Damien in tow. I mean, you know, forgive me, I don't mean to be rude, but his son in tow, like he was babysitting him, like he was, you know, Uncle Buck, right? And I just cannot stop thinking about the whole, you know, brain ability that Muskie had. So I don't really know what that was about. And I really don't know what's going on. And I know people won't appreciate what I'm saying, but hey, stranger things have happened. So however we see it, however we think, whatever we think, you know, collectively, that's one thing. But what I will tell you is there's something that's gone afoot. There's something that's not right. Can't think of what it is exactly, but I know it's something. I know that it is. So with that in mind, you guys just, you know, take care and check it out. That's all I'll say. Just take care and check it out, because I don't think that this is an accident at all. I absolutely think that it's done on purpose. I think that it's done on purpose. So before we go, I'm going to put this back up and I want you guys to listen to the rest of it because, yeah, yeah.
Seek to advance. Let me show you a map of the Middle East in 1948, the year Israel was established.
Now pay attention to
Here's
what he
Israel
says.
in 1948. It's a tiny country, isolated, surrounded by a hostile Arab world. In our first
Hold on. How is that considered a hostile Arab world when the Europeans put you guys there? I
Well,
submit that everybody that was around them, that particular place, because Israel ain't a place, it's a people, they were all pretty much cohabiting with each other without any issues as
well, that's
far
a
as
good.
we know. And what we hear now is my brother, that's Ronnie. And yeah, that's who you're hearing. Oh, go ahead.
That's a good word. Cohabitation, at least relatively peaceably. That lets you know his standpoint and viewpoint, or his vantage point, if he's saying a hostile environment, because the colonizers would call that area a hostile environment. Every other community around that area, they relatively peaceably cohabitate. So that is an interesting perspective.
Well, I have Mary Cleveland, and I'd like for us to look at the passage. Thank you for putting your comment up, Mary. It says, "You twist scripture. God gave the Jews that land in perpetuity and said, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed."
Can I say something to that?
Read Genesis 12, 2 through 3, and it looks like Psalms 122. Pray for Israel. Thank you for your comment, Mary. Yes, go ahead, Ronnie.
Okay. As far as what Miss Mary Cleveland posted, absolutely, hallelujah, you're exactly spot on.
And you're obviously incorrect. There's an area where you're spot on, and then there's an area where you
No.
error.
The words that
she
were
said
typed
are accurate,
are absolutely
accurate,
100% accurate.
but it's misdirected in that it's being conflated, and that's okay because we've conflated it for several years. For several years, it's been conflated. But nonetheless, let's go on. But Mary, I appreciate your comment, but it is truly stated, but it is misdirected. The heart in which what you're saying is absolutely spot on, but it's not for the people that you're thinking it's for.
There's a misinterpretation that has been perpetuated on the general populace at large, and we've eaten and partaken at the wrong table. Yeah, we've been manipulated to believe certain slants. And I did hear you state, your train of thought, and you brushed on some, you brushed upon some of your things that you were researching. So you did cover those bases already. So I'm not going to reiterate anything, but yeah.
Yeah, Avis Swoop says Ashkenaz came from Europe. Those in Israel. So let's finish listening to what he has to say here. Let's go.
For 70 years, we made peace with Egypt and Jordan. And then in 2020, we made the Abraham Accords, peace with another 4 Arab states. Now look at what happens when we make peace between Saudi Arabia and Israel. The whole Middle East changes. We tear down the walls of enmity. We bring the possibility of prosperity and peace to this entire region, but we do something else. A few years ago, I stood here with a red marker to show the curse, a great curse, the curse of a nuclear Iran. But today I bring this marker to show a great blessing.
Okay,
the
Marty.
blessing of a new Middle East between Israel, Saudi Arabia, and our other neighbors. We will not only bring down barriers between Israel and our neighbors, we'll build a new corridor of peace and prosperity that connects Asia through the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, to Europe. This is an extraordinary change, a monumental change, another pivot of history. Now, as the circle of peace expands, I believe that a real path towards a genuine peace with our Palestinian neighbors can finally be achieved. But there's a caveat. It has to be said here forcefully. Peace can only be achieved if it is based on truth. It cannot be based on lies. It cannot be based on endless vilification of the Jewish people.
Said it.
Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas must stop spreading the horrible anti-Semitic conspiracy.
And you know what I was working on today, like I told you guys that this actually took me off of what I was working on. I am definitely going to show you guys once and for all, because the guy that came on talking about Paul in the live stream yesterday, really, 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 I have to put a nail in that once and for all. I know that people can't get in touch with my good friend right now because, you know, you mostly only see Roy on Twitter. But once and for all, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you all this information, because what he is saying right here, you know, oh, he's pounding his fist and it's anti-Semitic and he just can't take it and he doesn't understand why people are doing it. It is exactly what my sister just put in the chat. It's their home line, Khazaria. They are not who they say they are. And I'm going to lay it down. And all you got to do is look at it. If you don't believe it, that's fine. Do the research on your own and then come back and share it with me. But you cannot use any of Rome's information and their rhetoric to convince me of what I lay down before you. So I'm going to let this play. And for those of you who want to hang out, cool. I'll be here for another, half hour. You want to hang out, you can hang out. If not, you got somebody else to watch or something else to do. Hey, I get it. So we're going to continue just so that in case that happens, you can always come back into the replay. But I'm going to go ahead and continue. You will hear in the time frame that we were talking, you'll hear conversations with people that are in the chats, whether it be in the chat, whether it be with my mod or my brother Ron that's with me right here. Or whatnot. So just bear with us, but I still want to show this because this does play repeatedly in my mind on a loop whenever I see anything that does not have anything that directly affects us or the country. I was about to say company, which it is that as well. Whenever I see it, I got to talk about it. Now, Cindy Black says Genesis is talking about the seed of Abram and the followers of Christ. I don't want to make this a Christian or a biblical or a Hebrew conversation. Unfortunately, we're not able to talk about this unless we highlight those things that, Cindy mentioned, and then others, even David, what he just mentioned in the chat. And the way that I see it is, you cannot forget that there were two brothers. And it's not even the brothers that everybody thinks about, but there are two brothers that you cannot forget when you start to think about all of that kind of conversation. You see, there was a split at Abram. There was a major split right during that time frame. And so when we start to put all those pieces together and we start to look at everything, we really have to be fair and equitable with the information that we even feed ourselves. The patriarch table of Genesis in and of itself is something that I don't think a lot of people look at. I really don't. I think that they just sort of gloss over it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody forgets Arphaxad. Everybody forgets Salah. Everybody forgets Eber. Everybody forgets that, from Peleg to Yoktan, all of their descendants, both legs, from Peleg to Yoktan, both legs are all Hebrew, but they're not all Israelites. They're not all Israelites. They're just not. And what really gets me is that people forget the Assyrian touch in the whole picture. People forget all of those things because they're so beholden. And listen, I'm guilty, or at least I was guilty, because as you know, I went through Bible college, licensed, ordained, doctor, everything. So when I say I get it, I do get it, but that does not negate the fact that it's incumbent upon us to do our real due diligence. Not, oh yeah, I went to the pastor and we talked, and I go to Bible study and I go this and I go that, or I read my Bible all the time. But if you're reading regurgitated information over and over again, you are going to most assuredly get the exact same answer over and over and over, and unfortunately, redundantly over again. So what are you doing with the fact that Peleg and Rueg and Serug and Nahor and Terah and Abram and Isaac and Yakub and Isa, what are you doing with that piece? What are you doing with that leg? But then what about the leg that is very, unless you go to the book of Jasher, that's very infrequently touched on? Yoktan, Omaladad, Shalaf, Hazmarveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Dikla, Obal, Amibael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, Joab. What do you do about those cats? I don't think a lot of people understand that it's more than just what you know. It is more than what you think you know. Hey, Maddox son, thank you. Thank you for being here. So you can't step onto the world stage and start to declare regurgitated information. Not that, listen, I'm not going to apologize for my knowledge. I'm not going to apologize for what I know. I'm not going to apologize for the in-depth study. I'm not going to continue to dumb down either. Okay, just so you know, I'm not going to continue to dumb it down either. Because when you start to listen, this is exactly what happens when you consider a convoy. The convoy in military, that vehicle, that lead vehicle, my first husband, that's all he did was drove that lead vehicle. He drove it while they were over in the Gulf War. He drove that lead vehicle in the black of night with a boatload of vehicles behind him. But he had to drive slow, even if he felt confident that he could drive faster, because you must drive as slow as the slowest vessel. Why? So that you don't lose nobody. But I feel like we've all been soaking up enough pablum, and I would be remiss in my duty for me to sit here and continue to play in pablum. If you are able to take the weightier or the meatier portion of what I have to share, cool. But if you're not, that's cool too. But I'm not going to continue to dumb down and not give you the truth about anything historical. Maybe you don't have time to pull it up, but at least you can take a couple of notes and then reflect on it when you get a chance. What I'm trying to let you understand is this. What we saw today with Trump's brokering of this deal, the declaration between Armenia and Azerbaijan, is a part of a larger plan. And it's all based in Rome. If you do not, separate those, if you don't unearth it and don't figure it out, if you don't know that it's all Rome, you're going to be confused. Everybody, I get it. Abraham, Isaac, Esau, Jacob, I get it. I understand. I get it. But at some point, you got to go past that. You got to be able to explain to me who is a Jew? What is a Jew? That's completely Roman. Whether you accept it or not does not change it. If you go outside right now and you say, hey, it is 5 o'clock in the morning here. And we all know that it's not 5 o'clock in the morning in the United States anywhere. That's just what you've decided to believe. It doesn't mean that I got to believe it because you are so adamant that by putting lipstick on a pig, it turns into a pig, or that it's now 5 a.m. It's just not. You can't just take one leg of something and say, up Judah, up Jews. That's all Rome. Every inch of it. And if you swallow it, hook, line, and sinker, that's okay. I support your right to do that. I'm just sharing that going forward, I can't rock with it because I know too much about it. And it's just not right. And it's not fair for you to have somebody in your presence that has done the study, that does know the information, that refuses now at this point to not give you truth. So what will happen is things will begin to decline a little more. You won't be able to see as many folks come through here and chit chat and talk. Because whenever the truth goes forward, it makes people very uncomfortable because apple carts get kicked over and sacred cows no longer milk. So with that in mind, let's continue.
Against the
You want to comment?
No, he spoke truth a moment ago. He spoke truth
Okay.
a moment ago.
Okay.
the Jewish people and the Jewish state. I mean, he recently said that Hitler wasn't an anti-Semite. You can't make this up. But he did. He said that. And the Palestinian Authority must stop glorifying terrorists. They must stop its ghoulish pay-to-slay policy of giving money to Palestinian terrorists for the murder of Jews.
All right.
That's loaded.
Yeah, it is loaded. And that's the reason why I had to
That's
click
loaded.
off. It was a very loaded. And the bad part about it is if you look at the timeline with which this was said, you have the first thing where you had all of the evangelicals, because most Black folk are jumping and shouting. That's just the way that we were raised, a lot of us. They had all of the people there. They came in, and then they do, Trace, they do. The only side that I want to look at is the side of what is the historical piece, Trace. And I love the way you always bring balance. I love Trace. Always brings in balance. Just remember, they want everyone to take a side. It doesn't matter which side, just take one or the other so the banks can keep funding both sides. That sounds exactly like
That's spot on.
Ashkenazis, right? It was the Khazarians that funded both sides of war.
Yeah,
I think it was them. Yeah, that funded both sides. One of the two.
Among others.
Yeah.
But in general, no, I do want to make a fine line more visible. We can't conflate the word terrorist and parallel it to Palestinian. Now, no matter what side you definitely lean toward, let's just look at it from a broader perspective. You might look at Hamas, the authority that runs the Palestinian state, quote unquote state, as terrorist, depending on how you view or where you view from, or from where you view. But nonetheless, the people themselves might or might not be terrorists. You just can't link the two together. They're human beings trying. All they want to do is go to work in peace, come home, get a sandwich in peace, watch some TV in peace, some place that they can call their home. And that's the majority of the people, but we can't turn the citizens, the specific, people group into monsters just because.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just want to make that clear, because that was loaded what he said. It's making it seem like, at least from where he stands, or seemingly so from where he stands, it sounds like you want to paint a broad stroked picture that Palestinians are just monsters. And that's not necessarily the case. There's, good, quote unquote, and evil, quote unquote, people in every society.
Agreed.
In every demographic.
Agreed. I agree with that, and I do think that it's a pretty broad stroke. It's an unfair stroke, but my main goal in bringing this up and pulling back so far, because I'm looking at all of that I can see, that I choose to watch, because I really have not been keeping up. I get articles, I know what's going on, and I know that it is. And let me ask you this, Ronnie, do you think, because this is what I was about to say, do you think that they are rushing a timeline? Because I said it earlier, that in, Shakespearean fashion, they're playing out a role. It really does feel like that. What are your thoughts on that idea?
Yeah, oh man, I really don't want to bring my thoughts to the table, because
I mean,
everyone
as
has
it relates to my comment.
But seriously, it maybe, possibly, it definitely, you could argue that, you could debate that, and be seemingly spot on, because I will say this: depending, if we just keep our eyes to exactly what's going on, how it plays out, it definitely has the potential to mark off many boxes in the biblical prophetic. I will say that it will check off many boxes prophetically if this continues to play out in a certain manner. And we can discuss those things specifically, but being that's the case, everything does have a timeline. And in actuality, Christians that profess to believe the Bible, they're the most uninformed when it comes to what time it is.
Well, I know that I was, when I was, because having gone to Bible college, you learn what they teach us. That, I learned what I was taught. I got my grades and my ordination, and all that stuff based on passing certain classes that I was taught. Ways
it's
to
theology and seminary.
Yeah, basically cemetery.
Oh.
But for me, I know that, and that's, I think, the reason why I say the things the way that I do in such a bold fashion, because having had, as you have studied, having to have studied it as deep as I have, anything else that I touch, I study it with the same fervor. And so when I come to these types of things, and when I hear people like him make these kinds of statements, and then at the same token, show us how you're going to make even more money right here. Let me show you right here. He's going to show you how he's going to make even more.
And Israel.
Look at this.
The whole Middle East changes.
But the whole Middle East is not in their opinion going to change for the betterment of the Palestinians, because looking at that map, they're not anywhere on there. Okay, they're actually not on any map that you can find anyway now, anyhow. But they're going to clear it all up, and they're going to pull it all the way through. And what is it going to be for? What are they going to do?
We tear down the walls of enmity. We bring the
I'm interjecting here because I want to ask the question, now, does this ring true today? The plan that was laid out here was 2023. He was saying this in 2023. Does this ring true? He was going to bulldoze through everything. How were you going to do that without absolutely annihilating that place? Please do not forget, that was a place that was completely surveilled, where they had curfews, where you could not be out after a certain time of night, where even though you felt free to go back and forth to the market, there were still people's eyes prying and watching you. You still had Israeli soldiers on towers looking at you or sitting in surveillance areas watching you, where they would go through literally. I have friends who are from there who said, one of their cousins were taken away a while back, and he was at that point right before this happened in that particular timeline. While they were there visiting their families right before this happened, they had just given him back, and this man was gone for 5 years. He was like 18 when he left, and he was like 23 when he came back. Mind totally different. They would just take a person, keep them, take people, keep them, throw them back over, do whatever God knows what to. So this is not just an idea that he had while he was standing there with that in his hand. He literally had plans to do exactly what they've done, which to me is premeditation. But then again, who gonna check him? Nobody. Who gonna stop him? Right? Absolutely. Except on October 7th, Sandy says, nobody was watching. You feel me? Yeah. Let's continue.
Possibility of prosperity and peace to this entire region, but we do something else.
Prosperity.
A few
Capitalism.
years ago, I stood
Absolutely.
here with a red marker to show the curse, a great curse, the curse of a nuclear Iran. But today I bring this marker to show a great blessing, the blessing of a new Middle East between Israel, Saudi Arabia.
He just said the curse of a nuclear Iran. This was in 2023, September. Is there a nuclear Iran right now? What did the United States do? I got to keep bringing it back. As I shared with you at the very top of the hour, this is one of the things that have continued to play over and over in my mind. Whenever I see one bit of, I don't even want to use this term, but I have to. When they make one step forward and another step forward, everything that I see lines up with this very conversation that he made so public that he let everybody know what his goals were. This man has exacted almost to the T everything he said. Everything he said, to include this last statement. Let me see if I can go back to that. Let me go back 5 seconds. Let's see if we got this now. Let's listen.
Today I bring this marker to show a great blessing, the blessing of a new Middle East between Israel, Saudi Arabia, and our other neighbors. We will not only bring down barriers between Israel and our neighbors, we'll build a new corridor of peace and prosperity that connects Asia through the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, to Europe. This is an extraordinary change, a monumental change, another pivot of history.
Okay, I've got your other story now, Ronnie. I want to pull that up on the screen now. That says a lot. That's very, very telling. That is very telling. That's why I said I felt like there were more than one or two prongs. It was like, 3 prongs of what's up.
Before we go there,
Yeah.
did you notice that through Asia all the way up into Europe, the gatekeeper, the how you pass through was the state of Israel.
Yeah.
So I guess they'll have a major port, which is
Yeah.
Tyre. In the scriptures, Tyre was a major port city. But yeah, so they have a lot to gain financially in all of that as well. So I guess that's what prosperity is.
So what you got here on the screen? This was on September the 30th. This was updated September 30th. It was actually published on the 29th of 2023. The naval station Norfolk will serve as a temporary home front for Britain's largest warship, HMS Prince of Wales, during its East Coast deployment. Go ahead, Ronnie. You talk.
No,
I can't.
I just scroll back down to the top. Well, scroll up to the top.
All right, while I scroll up to the top, I do want to make notice of Tyre, the ancient Phoenician port city. In modern times, it's located in southern Lebanon, right on the Mediterranean coast. It's about 50 some odd miles south of Beirut, and it's roughly about 12 miles, I want to say north of Israel-Lebanon border. All right. It's actually known for its UNESCO World Heritage, the archaeological sites, and it's still functioning as a smaller fishing and commercial port. All right. Uh, I, I cannot tell you how amusing all of this is as it's playing out. You know, it's a trip because no, I don't jump on the bandwagon for a lot of different stories. It's not a lot of stuff that you're going to see me even talking about because when I came back after being gone for 6 months, I told you guys I could not take the lies that I saw. The reason why I said that was because I know too much about this stuff for me to even suck in all the lies and then regurgitate that trash to you. I feel like I'm doing a disservice, right? But that whole entire story is being played out right now. Again, this was 2023. And this whole entire thing is being played out right now before our eyes. Keep going back to that video. Just keep going back, even on your own time. Keep going back.
Just look at that headline. It's just fascinating. So Norfolk, Virginia is officially the home and headquarters for the United Nations.
Correct.
And now the United States is serving as a home port for intercontinental naval warships. I find that fascinating. I find like it's unreal to me. Like we're we're doing the service for the United Nations. We are the hub for the United Nations. It's wow. So we're not even doing our own bidding anymore. We're doing the bidding for the quote unquote global community at large. It's wow. We're not sovereign. This is definitely, well, we are sovereign, but we're sovereign. We're sovereign on a intercontinental, international.
And this wasn't even under the Trump administration when all this happened. Make it make sense.
Scale, and it literally is right in front of our face, showing us that this is moving towards the one world government. And the other opposing side would be, if you want to look at it from financial or economic terms, the opposing side of that one world government would be the BRICS nations. And it seems to me that's where we're headed. We're headed toward sooner, later, whenever, but inevitably, we're moving towards I hate to even say this trigger word, but a world war, a great war of epic proportions, that is going to finalize who is going to be the international head or authority of the known world. We are going to be what? Egypt, Rome, Babylon, Assyria, all over again. And we're going to conquer those Ottomans. We're going to conquer those Moors. We're going to conquer those Arabs. We're going to, conquer those others, if you will. And that's what it seems like it's headed. If you, of course, if you're just looking at it from black and white terms, from a two-party term, because they always want us to do a two-party, have a two-party mindset. So. Yeah, but
duality.
But look at it. Norfolk is serving as the home port for another country's largest
warship
naval vessel. That is remarkable to me. That is remarkable.
I want to thank Dovetail for supporting the channel before I forget. Thank you so much, Dovetail. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Go ahead, kind sir.
Yeah, like this is going to be the norm. Like this is starting and it's right under our nose. We don't know about these things, but it's happening.
Mhm.
And then when we see it, we just, oh, okay, because we don't understand the larger implications of what's being shown to us or what's being presented, or what's happening right before our very eyes. We don't see the larger picture. And man, yeah, United States is gone. We are the United Nation. I'm not even.
You're
I'm
not
not even,
joking.
yeah, and I'm
You're
not
not
even going to put
joking.
an S. United Nations. Not even going to put an S. Where United means it's singular.
Mhm.
Like we are the United Nation,
Mhm.
and it is literally going to be European versus Arab when it's all said and done. Just stating it
Mm.
broad stroke plainly, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm. To think that we literally have possession of their, and it was temporary, but I wonder if it's still there. The naval station Norfolk to serve as a temporary home port for British warship.
yeah, you
That's
got
a
to throw that
contradictory
temporary.
of terms. Temporary home port.
Might be the first, but it definitely isn't going to be the
It
last.
definitely will not be
It's
the
setting,
last.
if anything, it's setting precedent.
It's setting precedents. So the naval station Norfolk will serve as a temporary home port for Britain's largest warship, HMS Prince of Wales, during its East Coast deployment. Beginning Saturday, the British aircraft carrier will make multiple port calls to Naval Station Norfolk over the next few months as it practices carrier landings and launches into the Atlantic Ocean for the United Kingdom's F-35 Lightning stealth fighter jets. The vessel is one of the most powerful surface warships ever constructed in the United Kingdom, with a size of 70 meters by 280 meters, housing a max crew of 1,600 people. Wait a minute.
This is
So could
amazing.
they be carrying when they come? I'm just playing devil's
Oh yeah,
advocate.
yeah.
So can
Okay.
I roll with it? Could they be bringing in 1,600 people each time they come and go back and forth? Because it clearly says that beginning Saturday, they will begin to, over the next few months, practice carrier landings and launches in the Atlantic Ocean for the United Kingdom's this big fighter jet. But are they
So
coming in
so
and out?
so the joint, pardon me, the Joint Chiefs of Staff
Uh-huh.
are located here. Pardon me, here are located in Norfolk, Virginia. That is the headquarters for the Joint Chiefs of Staff as well. So this
That was
is.
about 3, 4 years ago, remember? When they sort of had that big festival or whatever?
Oh, right, yeah, no, but this has been their headquarters forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is where their headquarters is in Norfolk, Virginia. And so what this is joint militaries. This is there it's basically going to be war games, so we can know how to interact on a different level, on an intimate level, not just working together but interconnected militaries, because we're going to be one military. And of course I'm speculating on that, but I foresee that based on this, like I could see that we're just going to be one huge military. It's not going to be Britain, it's not going to be United States, it's just going to be military. It's just gonna but yeah, it's so ironic because we were fighting against the British. We did not want them we did not want them at all once upon a time to even set foot, much less port up.
Mm.
Like the redcoats are coming, like we're fighting them off, and now we're welcoming them with open arms, and trading secrets with each. It's amazing.
Mm.
I'm bewildered. But why am I? Why should I be? Like this. Everybody says it. Everybody everybody knows. Oh, the one world government. and it's relegated to the realm of conspiracy and all this and that. But it is right here, right in front of us right now. When we see it, why am I bewildered? I need to chill out. Like, I just need to know that, yeah, of course, duh. And it's happening right now. Let us not be
I'm chuckling at Ronnie because he said, "Why am I bewildered? I shouldn't be." And that, to me, that is classic, because yeah, it's like all of us are sort of bewildered. It's as if, no matter how much information, no matter how much knowledge, no matter how much anything that we have, it's amazing. For example, earlier my sister put up a comment saying that China owns the ports in Israel. Well, here's what's a part of that, just to piggyback on what she said, just so that I can balance that out. In 2015, Israel was awarded a 25-year operating contract as a part of the Port of Haifa and Shanghai International Port Group, or the SIPG, the Chinese state-owned company. Now, the SIPG took over operations in September of 2021, managing the New Bay Terminal in Haifa, a modern deep water facility. China also built the port of the Ashdod's. Look at that name, Ashdod's New South Terminal through China's Harbor Engineering Company, or the CHEC. But China does not own the ports. It operates specific terminals under long-term leases, similar to how Dubai's DP World operates ports in many countries. The Israeli government still owns the land and controls the national port policy and the security, and Israel retains military and security oversight. The Chinese companies do not control Israeli naval bases or the broader port access. And let me just tell you, the SIPG contract is one reason the United States raised concerns about China's influence in Israeli infrastructure, especially since Haifa is sometimes used by the U.S. Navy. But I just can't. But it does explain why Netanyahu might push for more Israeli or U.S. aligned control over future corridors like the Trip, so that China is not positioned to expand any of its ports or any of its port influence any further. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because that's a response to what Sandy had mentioned earlier when she was saying, hey, you know what, but they own thus and such. They own partially she was absolutely correct. And to me, I would not give a foothold to any enemy. Okay, this was the comment here. What I can't see here is the fact that China owns the ports in Israel. And she was referencing the actual graph that I put up, the map that I put up. Yeah, but you really honestly think that listen, here's the thing. If we really think about it, there's no way on this planet that Netanyahu is going to allow anybody to do anything that he don't want him to do. He's a guy who will shake the hand and then turn right around and do something opposite. I mean, if that's not evident with some of the things that's just gone on recently, I don't know what is. I honestly do not know what is. Okay, you see what I'm saying? But here's the skinny. Oh, and Sarah just said Israel supposedly does more trade with China. Haifa. That's how I'm gonna say it. You know what? I'm not gonna get. I hope that you're not tripping on me in the way that I say my words. Because yeah, I don't care. As long as if it's Yah, then I'm gonna say it correctly. If it's Yahweh Shah, I'm gonna say it correctly. But if it's any of this other stuff with these folks right here, I ain't saying nothing correctly. I'm gonna try my best phonetically and go on. Sandy says, once we squeeze all we can out of the United States, it can dry up and blow away. That's a quote, she says. That's a quote. That's what she says. It's a quote. Okay. But nonetheless, let's go on ahead and finish up before we're done here. We'll be done here shortly. And you know what I want to tell you guys? Thank you guys for hanging out. I see that there's a few people left here with us. Can you guys please give me a 1 in the chat just to let me know how many people are here, whether you are typing in the chat or whether you are just physically listening. Even if you put a 1 in the chat, I won't say your name because it means you just don't want to be bothered right now. But I need to know how many people are actually watching. The purpose of me saying that is that, yes, I have been, questioning and asking, hey, what's up? Why have you guys sort of choked down the funnel over here? And it helps me understand. If you can hit the like, that's a help. Thank you, Igmatic Sun, and thank you, Cindy Black. If you do that, that helps the channel so much. Hi, Voltage. Hey, baby, how you doing? I'm so happy to see you. Sandy, my sister, thank you, baby. So it does help out a lot whenever we keep in contact with each other, because you know what? We got to remember that sometimes, listen, and I'm going to say this in all honesty, there are a lot of us who are not necessarily connected to each other, but we all stand for truth. And we all may talk about different things, but I guarantee you that our creator who made each and every one of us knows that truth has to go forth. And so what he'll do is he'll have one individual talking about something while the distraction's going on. He'll have somebody else talking about something else while the distraction is going on. But what it's for is for those who are here to grab a hold of the truth and, in their own quiet time, go and study and figure these things out for themselves. Any and everything that I put forward, I want you to go, oh gosh, this is a great example. Today, I looked for a book at the library and they don't have any actual tangible physical copies. So I had to read a copy that was a downloadable version, not knowing if all that information was the truth, but I had to do it. So what I'm trying to say right now is, once we begin to tap into each other, what we do is we help strengthen the other's chain. I got an arm, another person has another arm in it, somebody else got another arm in it, but collectively, even if it's just 10 of us that are not paid for, even if it's just 10 of us that did not accept an invitation when an email was sent to us for us to tell you guys something else. Even when we decided, nah, I'm going to keep standing and telling the truth, I don't need that kind of money, right? We decide, hey, I'll take the hit. I'll I'll have them choke the channel a little bit to prevent me from lying, because I'm not about to take sides. One thing I feel about is that once you start to take sides from individuals who give you promises of finances and promises of stuff, it hmm, hmm. Let me just say this. When you guys have AI and things that can read your emails and things that can read your situations and things that know exactly what you've got going on and, how much money you got coming in and how much money you don't got coming in, and then what a voice and what a size of a voice you would have, it does seem that a lot of times people are engaging in uh, information that they possibly shouldn't be. But what I want to tell you is support the people that you see that are trying to tell you the truth, and take that information that they're giving you and you go research that on your own. Don't ever take any of our word for what it may seem. Study it on your own. You know what I mean? Go and pull that information. If you can get to a library, pull it. Look for the historical pieces. Because if you do that, then you will have the truth. And that's what you want. You want people that you are supporting, that you are watching, okay? That you are watching to give you truth. And when they give you the truth, you still got to double check that. You have to double check it. But just know that there are some of us who've not responded to those emails, who've not responded to come take a call with us, who've not responded to that. There's some of us who've not responded. And so we may take a hit on views. We may take a hit. But at least you can tell who really does care about you and has your best interest at heart, because we're not buying out. We're not going to sell out. That's the truth right there. Now that, as my grandkids say, that was a bar. That was a whole rap version of what I'm trying to say. Okay, let's finish.
Deceived. Let us not be blinded to the fact of really what's going on. And so what I'm doing is I'm just trying to connect dots for the larger picture. Like, why?
But it's important to connect them. You know what I mean?
And then this thing that's playing out over there, in Gaza right now. It's wow. These things are connected. These things are connected.
They have to be connected.
And if you really want to have a true spiritual set of glasses on, connect all these things to the end times prophecies in scripture. It all goes together.
Oh, my heart
it's all
is so
going
happy.
together.
It's all going. But look, Demita Miles is here. Hey, Demita, it's good to
Miss
see
Demita.
you. Demita says at this point, we have to know that the one world order has already happened. It's only been an illusion of sides.
Yeah, Miss Demita stays on point.
Doesn't she though? Doesn't she though? Girl, don't make me send you this link. We about to get up out of here in a few minutes. But yeah, I invited somebody else to come, and I hope that he's able to. Oh, he's doing something right now. He left me a message, and I'm not going to tell you guys who it is, but I saw that he had left me a message and said, "Hey, you want to come on here?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm taking care of something. I'm in an office." I hope he's done soon. Let me ask him if you're done soon.
Can I speak to the
sure, why not? Go ahead.
Well, just aspects of the scriptures. Like this is, people are divided like beyond, you know, anything in the past. Like you say certain things, and people are either like, you could be pro-Israel, or like you're just a terrorist sympathizer. It's like so way far left and way far right. There's no in between. There's no actual basic thinking, level playing ground. It's just either way over here or way over there. And I see it in scripture when Yahweh Shah, when the Gospels speak on how Yahweh Shah was saying that in the end times, brothers will be hate brother, nations will be at war with nations. Like it's something houses will be divided, internally, son against father, against son, daughter.
And we see that.
It's on a whole other level.
It's on a totally different level, but we see it like every single day. And again, just to use the fact that we're talking about, in this particular instance, media, you see it all the time on media. You see it you're looking in the news and you're seeing all these different things that are going on. And it's creepy. It's a mess. But I really do want to focus on the fact that in my impression, it just, to me, Ronnie, feels like they are using the quote unquote Bible to exact this out. It's like, oh, the Bible said, now let's go ahead and put this out there. Oh, everybody likes to follow the Bible. Look at this, look at that. I don't know. It just seems a bit contrived.
Okay, but
convenient.
But listen, whether it's a self-fulfilled prophecy or prophecy that is just unfolding, quote unquote, naturally or supernaturally, however you want to view it, no matter how it's progressing.
Absolutely.
So
I can see that.
Yah can use anything to have his will accomplished. And the interesting thing about that is many people want this thing to cease, or they're taking a stance on it. But the scriptures say that these things are going to happen and will happen. And it's very specific as far as the end game and the end results, how it's going to play out, and what the winning side looks like and what the losing side looks like. And then it even tells you who the winning side is and who who falls or what have you. And it's extremely specific. So what they do is they muddy the waters as far as who's who and what's what. That's what you don't know.
Yeah.
I'll take that back. That's what you think that you know.
That's what you think that you know.
You might need to double check what you think that you know, because the people that told us these things are the people that are telling us, the people that told us all the truths that we know are the same people that are telling us lies.
That's a good point.
Let me say that again.
Say it again, because that's a good point.
All the truths that we know, that we know, all these truths that we know and argue about These same truths, the people that told us those same truths are the same people that are telling us the lies. Marinate on it. Marinate on it.
Just sit in that sauce.
Hey everyone,
Just
it's
sit
me,
in that sauce.
Felicia of the
Paula,
Lockhart
Paula Knit
Perspective and
says, how
Headlines with
do
a
I...
Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will.
Well, hey, welcome back to the Lockhart Radio Podcast. Of course, I am your host, Felicia Lockhart, and we are looking today at the deal that was brokered by Trump. And by the deal, I mean between Armenia and Azerbaijan, there was a peace declaration. Now, we're going to take a look at a couple of other things that we have to cover today before we leave, and we're going to be pulling out of here in a couple of moments. But what I wanted to talk about was the security cabinet that approved the Gaza City takeover. Now, I don't know whether you've looked at it or had the opportunity to go and check it out for yourself to see exactly what it looks like today, but it looks literally like like they're just ready to run a few tandem trailers through there and pick up all the rubble. Is basically what it looks like. I remember working in construction, and we would take a whole building down. Whether we were out in the South, we would have Price and Sons come and do an implosion, and then it'd be nothing but rubble. And then from that, we'd have to go through, and the company that I worked for would have to go through and sift out between the rebar and everything that was left, the concrete and all that stuff, and throw the trash on one side. They would pull the rebar through another side, reuse what they could. Bricks and all that stuff. And that's basically what it looked like when I looked at it last week. It actually took me into tears. So what the cabinet approved today was to take over Gaza City. Israel's security cabinet, led by Prime Minister Netanyahu, approved a military plan to take over Gaza City, and this does include the evacuation of civilians, siege tactics against Hamas, which, if we do keep the truth on the forefront when it comes to that group, excuse me, and remember who created them. Okay, so it says siege tactics against Hamas-controlled areas, and establish humanitarian aid zones just outside the combat areas. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've seen it. All right. And I know exactly when they say, the humanitarian aid zones, people have been sending stuff over there for a minute. And what they've been upset about was the fact that there have been news articles that have shown people literally getting shot at after they go to get some food and try to get back. And they've actually, vilified the people who are saying, hey, look at this, and said, we're not doing that, but we're looking at it and we can see it. So now there's one thing I want to share with you, and that is that there was some outrage, international outrage, that went immediately after that was said. With condemnation from the UN and the EU countries and human rights organizations who say that it's going to just worsen the humanitarian suffering. Germany reacted strongly by suspending new arms exports into Israel, marking a major policy shift for a traditional ally. Palestine urgently appealed to the Arab League for intervention, but they don't understand that a lot of them have already been taken over, right, by them. So they did go and they begged for intervention, with the leaders warning of catastrophic consequences and accusing Netanyahu of sacrificing hostages for political gain, which I don't see him not doing. So now the Palestinians in Gaza City are resisting displacement amid mounting chaos. There's nothing left for them but what they've got under their feet. There are numerous civilians, including those awaiting aid, who have been killed by ongoing strikes, right? So what today does is it just basically marks the major escalation of in the Israel-Gaza conflict. Israel is moving to assert full military control over the city, triggering widespread condemnation and heightened humanitarian risks. International actors are pushing back diplomatically and politically, even among Israel's closest allies. But if you think it matters, it doesn't. Now, when we were talking earlier about, the whole Rome thing, if you go into Genesis 36, you'll see the Dukes of Edom, which are the descendants of Esau. They're half Israelite and Canaanites and Ishmaelites. But these dukes are who you're looking at. Let's break that down before we leave. A duke is a male title either of a monarch ruling over a, duchy, we'll say it that way, or of a member of loyalty or nobility, as the rulers. Dukes are ranked below emperors and kings, grand princes, grand dukes, and sovereign princes. As royalty or nobility, they're ranked below the princes and grand dukes. The titles come from French. Okay, that's the origin of the word itself. And it comes from the word dux or dux, meaning leader. And it's a term used in Republican Rome to refer to a military commander without an official rank. You see a lot of dukes overseas right now, across the pond, particularly one of Germanic origin, and later coming to mean the leading military commander of a province in most countries. The word duchess is the female equivalent. So now, if you go to Genesis 36, you're going to start at verse 15. It says, these were dukes of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of the son of Esau, Duke Terman, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, and Duke Kenaz. In verse 16, it says Duke Korah, Duke Gadam, and Duke Amalek. These are the dukes that came of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Adah. In verse 17 of that same chapter, it says, and these are the sons of Ruel, Esau's son, Duke Nathan, Duke Zerah, Duke Shammah, Duke Mizah. These are the dukes that came from Ruel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Bashmeth, Esau's wife. And these are the sons of Alibamo, Esau's wife, Duke Jeshu, Duke Jalem, Duke Korah, and these were the dukes that came from Aholibamah, the daughter of Anna, Esau's wife. They're dukes. Edom is Rome. The whole bit of it. Now, I know people are going to be upset with knowledge and information, but go check that out yourself. Don't believe me. Don't believe me. Don't believe me. Please don't. Because I need you to be an independent thinker and a person who studies it out for yourself, and a person who asks why, how, where, all the open-ended questions that help you become successful. All of the open-ended questions that I need you to ask. If we're going to run together and we're going to understand each other, when you hear what I have to share, we got to be able to be on the same playing field. So I need for you to go and study everything I'm talking about. Whatever you hear me chatting about, go and check it out. Go and check it out. Because if you look at Rome, what is Rome's color? Rome has a major color, and all of the countries that were once Rome or had Rome influence all still have that red color inside of their flags. All of them. All of them. You got the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, of Austria, Luxembourg, Warsaw, Cornwall, Normandy, Britain, Burgundy, Savoy, Barcelona, Tuscany, Athens, Leinster. They're not who you think they are. They are not. They are not. So just like we said earlier, you really got to do your homework. Because if we just start the whole ball rolling with just Abraham, we really do not know. We should just be quiet. Be quiet. Go back and study. Because the class is ahead of you and you don't know what you're talking about. You've got to go beyond what you have been taught. You got to take your bag and empty it out. You got to take it all and empty it out and start all over again. You can be upset, but watch who you're upset with. Be careful who you're upset with. You can't get angry at the person who gave you the truth, bitter though it may have been. If you're going to get upset with anybody, get upset with the person who told you and understand what their motivation was, and it will always be control. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for hanging out with us, for allowing us to bring this to you and to share it with you. If you have any questions about it, please make sure that you replay this, and that when you replay it, you go back and you study it again, and you're able to actually answer those questions for yourself. There's nothing like information that you've gleaned, nothing like information that you've gotten life from, that you've learned on your own, especially when you're taking the information that you've received to prove it wrong. I love people like that. That's an independent thinker. You can hang out with me anytime. If we ever met each other, I wouldn't turn you away from the table. We could sit down and come to the table of agreement and hash things out so that both of us, when we get up and walk away from that table, we have knowledge, understanding, right. And that's really what this is all about. That's really the reason why. Because I want you guys to be thankful to the Creator that you do have people among you who did not take that pill. You got the blue one and you got the red one. Some of us decided to take the right one. And you don't even know it. All right, you guys, remember what I always say. Please remember to take care of yourselves, because if you take care of yourself, you don't have to worry about nobody else. Ain't nobody else going to take care of you if you don't take care of yourself first, and you can't help nobody else if you don't help yourself. If you don't help yourself, you're not going to be any good to anybody. And I want to also let you know that just what I said over on the Lockhart Perspective, I think it was yesterday, sometimes you got to cut some of those vipers off. You got to cut some of those family members off. Mothers, you're not supposed to hold your mammary glands for your children when they're 35 and 34 years old, 36 years old, grown children, people who had families. You had a family at 35. Why are we still coddling the children at 35 who refuse to grow up? Let them go. Help yourself. Cut them off. Say no. It's a full sentence, a complete sentence, and it's an anointed word. Take that word and use it. Cut people off, whether it be your mama, your daddy, the cat, the frog, the dog, your son, your auntie, your uncle, your anybody. Cut them off. They are draining you. They're literally vampires. Whether it's a social vampire, whether it's an emotional vampire, whether it's somebody who throws things at you and makes you feel guilty because you don't have and they don't have it either. Throw them to the side and don't even consider picking them back up until they've given you and shown you that they have changed completely. Not only have they changed, but they've turned their life around with pure evidence. If there's no evidence, then you leave them alone. If they've got evidence and they can show you with their life that they have changed and you've watched it and you see the growth and you can feel it and you know the growth is real, then you might be able to have audience with them and meet them elsewhere to have a cup of tea. But don't let them back in your house. That's for somebody, and that was free. You guys take care of yourselves. Until I see you again, take care of my friend, because my friend is you. Peace.
To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Black Art Perspective. Helping you